Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Through the Fire and the SBN Small Business Network podcast. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today we have a very, very special guest. She's a transformational life and business coach, Nina Perez. How you doing today, Nina?
I'm doing really well today, actually. I just got back from teaching kids how to cook, so I had a great time today.
Oh, awesome. That sounds kind of interesting in itself.
I have fun doing that. Yeah.
So the number one question the audience probably has is, who is Nina Perez?
Oh, come on now. I asked that question on my podcast. You can't ask me that. I am a wife and a mom of adult children. I'm a grandma now, which is so fun. And I actually, I really try to live my life as much as I can with integrity and truth. I'm a person of faith. I believe in God, and I live my life in that direction. So, as a transformational life and business coach, which is what I do, not who I am, but what I do, is I help women really find themselves, know who they are, get into that inner peace, and then create a business that aligns with their values. And so that's what I do alongside of this amazing life that God has blessed me with. All the good and the bad and the ugly, all of it has been amazing. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I think we already started talking about that too earlier in our call before I hit record, was about how a lot of coaches have been through a heap of mess before we got into coaching and working and helping
Very
people.
true. Very true. I think at least for most coaches or most of the women that I've worked with have gone through really big adversities, right? Whether it was domestic violence or, rejection or shame or all the things, right? And that's, I think, what separates coaches too. Like a coach that has been through something, whether it's in business and life, whatever they're trying to teach you or bring you through, if they've been through it, it's almost like this reliability. You can trust that they know what they're doing because they've been there, done that, wrote the book probably, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge difference than somebody who's trying to teach you something they've never done. And I think you feel it. It's a thing, So you're right. A lot of coaches have been through some stuff, Ryan, which I'm sure you have, and I can't wait to have you on my podcast so we can talk about it.
Yes, I will definitely come on.
Good.
So what personal challenges led you into coaching?
So there's a lot of them. But I realized that, all the stuff that I've been through, that fire, it doesn't destroy you, but it refines you, right? My story matters and your story matters, because our pain has purpose. So, growing up, I was pretty much rejected most of my life and abused, molested as a child, and been through a lot of things, poverty and going back and forth, not a father who never claimed me, a stepfather who molested me, like all the things. And what I realized is, I carried a lot of shame. I was very shameful of those things that happened to me. And as I was growing up, I almost hated me. I almost beat me up because of the shame, So I started dating when I was young, like 13 years old, because nobody cared. I could do whatever I wanted. I didn't have any supervision. So by the age of 14, I got pregnant. By the age of 15, I had my son. And I was in ninth grade in school. And my son's father, throughout the years, and finally I left because he tried to murder me. He put a gun to my head. He pulled the trigger, and because of God, the safety got jammed on the gun, and that's the only reason why I'm sitting here today. So all of those things, and never feeling good enough and never worthy, and then becoming people pleaser because you're trying to have people like you or whatever whatever you do to try to survive, right? Because most of us become survivors, right? We just become somebody who we start doing things, drugs, alcohol. For me, it was eating sugar, like things like that. All of us have a vice that we do to survive, whatever it is, whatever the thing is, right? And so as I was growing up and realizing how freaking hard life was, and going through poverty and homelessness and all the things while I was married and then divorced and left with two kids and all this other things, I realized I need to do something different. I can't wake up the same all the time, Ryan. I was waking up with depression, anxiety, like all the stuff that just was killing me slowly, right? And I realized that I didn't want to just survive anymore. I wanted to lead, you know. And I remember I think it's in Isaiah where it says, when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, right? And I realized that the gun jamming, this is after I became a person of faith, because I didn't really have much of that growing up, but I realized that God jammed the gun, right? I realized that my son, having him at 15 was hard, but it was also what saved me, because I tried to commit suicide before that, right? And so all of the things that I thought were like these tragedies, these horrible things, these things I could never survive, made me the person I am today. And then I realized, when I started to become a person of faith, I found Christ, or I should say Christ found me, or however that works. I realized that I went to school to become a Christian leader for women. And that was about an 18-month program leading women. And it was an amazing experience. And I realized that my story was, I wasn't alone, Ryan. I wasn't the only one. And so if I can help another woman, what the heck am I doing with just like sitting here in my depression and anxiety and stuff, when I can actually utilize all the gifts, and I call them gifts, all the challenges we've been through, all the stuff that tried to kill us, all the things that thought they were going to take us down. Those are gifts. They make you strong. So I use those gifts to help women. And then I realized that joy was a decision. It is a spiritual weapon. It's not happiness. Happiness can come and go, right? It depends on circumstances. I'm talking about joy. I'm talking about that peace that's inside when you're in the fire, right? The joy that the Lord gave me in his strength. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you've touched on gifts. On these are my gifts, and my struggles were my gifts.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like everything, all the adversity we face and all the temptations we face are from God.
Mhm. Oh,
God
yeah.
allows that to shape us.
Yes. Yes.
Like
I
how
love
long
that you said that. I
yeah,
love that you said allow, because
yeah,
I always say that. And a lot of people are like, oh, God doesn't do that. God might not do it to you, but he allows it.
yes.
And he's
Like,
allowing, he's the one in control of all things. Don't be putting
yeah,
the devil up. Like, I don't put the devil up at the same par with
yeah.
God,
They're not on the same
So
level at all.
yeah, not at all.
I
Yeah.
said, and it took me a long time to realize that. I mean, I was listening to podcasts on priests talking on like exorcist priests talk on spiritual warfare
Mm,
and talking about that. And like, they're the ones who led me to that, to see that, hey, everything I'm going through is being allowed by God to make you stronger.
yep. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I mean, let's be real. I think what happens is, when we're out here right now looking at all of the YouTubes and the Instagrams and the one shots and the blah blah blah, and everybody thinks everything's supposed to be happy all the time, it actually affects us in a very negative way, because we think we're supposed to be happy all the time, or that God is supposed to make you happy and like give you everything all the time. And that's not true. And it's also not life. Life is about balance, right? It's homeostasis. There's good things, there's bad things all the time, right? And I think if we can gather that in our minds, that, you know what, I'm having a good day today, tomorrow might not be so good, but let me enjoy right now, and then later, when you're going through the crap, just say, you know what, this is crappy, but thank goodness that this will also come and go. This is not going to stay forever, right? And so I think when we get ourselves to a point of understanding that there's this evenness that has to happen, this balance that has to happen. And Ryan, can you find anybody in the Bible who has had it easy the entire time? Because I've
None.
read the Bible a few times. I have yet to find it, right? So we
Most
need
of
to
the ones
stop
who are
fooling
called
ourselves.
have it worse than anybody else.
Right? That's what it feels like, because on this earth, we are here to serve others, right? We are here to be to serve the Lord and serve others, right? Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as you would love yourself. And it's important for us to get that, right? Because when everything is about me, 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 that's where you start drowning in your own delusions, right? But if you start to help your neighbor and help everyone else as if you would help yourself, things start to shift in your life. And yes, things are going to get hard. And God never said it wasn't, right? But what he did say is, don't be of little faith. I got you, you know? And at the end of the day, we're just visiting here, Ryan. We're just visiting. You know, this isn't somewhere we're supposed to stay forever. 100% of us are going to die, Christian or not.
Yeah.
100%. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Taxes and death is 100% guaranteed.
I love how you touched on that a little bit. Like, how much do you think of people, God making people struggle? Is a lot of it, hey, to get them to trust in Him more?
I absolutely believe that. I think if life was easy, we become complacent. I have done that, right? Like when my life
Yeah.
is easy, I become complacent. I almost forget to pray. Life is good. My house is nice. I'm making six figures, blah, blah, blah. All the things that we think we need, right? And it isn't until he starts to strip away everything that you go, wait a minute, God, hold on, God, Lord, please help me. And he's like, oh, now you talk to me. That's nice. And I think the struggle or the challenge or whatever you want to call it keeps you there, keeps you in the place of humbleness and lets you understand that you are not God and that you cannot be your God. And when you start to get that and you start to go, I need to be spending more time with God, maybe reading more with God, praying more with God, whether good or bad, because most of us wait for the bad, right? So I
Yeah.
think to your point, the challenges and the stuff that comes against us is because you're right. I think it's to make sure that we get humbled enough to know that we need a God, because otherwise we become our own gods. And that's a scary place when you become your own God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did all your adversity you faced shape your coaching philosophy?
Well, I realized that in order for us to build businesses that align with what we want, with our values, right? We have got to take care of the inner garbage, right? So a lot of stuff, limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, like inner dialogue, the way we talk to ourselves, like all that kind of stuff has got to get addressed. We have got to talk about it. Right. Because a lot of people like I'm a survivor. Right. So I think most of us are that we're built
Yeah.
that way. We're built to survive. And I every position I've ever been in, every job I've ever been in corporate, every one of them, I've risen to the top all the time, right? Because I'm a hard worker. I'm also an overworker, like an overachiever, but that's because I've always felt unworthy. And so the kudos and the pay raises and stuff was a way for somebody to acknowledge me because I didn't feel good enough. You know what I mean? And so when we go through all of those things and we don't address those things, we have got to start realizing that we are working ourselves to the bone for a reason, whether we're judging ourselves, whether we're victims, whether we're people pleasers, whatever the thing is that we're doing to survive. And I realized my business was going well, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I did not feel connected. I didn't feel like it meant anything. And so I realized, Nina, okay, you can build a coaching business. Yay, hooray, good for you. But you're feeling like crap here. So what are we doing? Right. And so I actually closed it down and then I spent a lot of time with God and I revised it. And then it became a Wisdom to Wealth, which is now Purpose by Design. And Purpose by Design is basically really showing you that you have a purpose, that you are designed with a purpose. And so we talk about inner healing, transcending unwanted behaviors, um, uh, goals, and defining your core values, like all of those things. And how do we interweave all of that with God? So now I work mainly with women of faith who want to create businesses that align with their faith values.
So what kind of services do you provide them?
So we have a 12-month program. I'm thinking of cutting it down to 90 days, so 3 months. And the reason for that is because I realize that if you give give people too much time, they take a lot of time to get things done, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a 12-month program. And what I do is we go through this whole coaching together. So we give them a lot of tools and strategies, and we have there's a whole thing for it, right? So we do foundations, which tells me who you are and where your giftings are and what you think they should be or what you want to align those with. Then we talk about your client avatar, the whole thing to build out your business. And then when we build out your business and you're good with it, you're like, yep, this is what I want to do. Then I have an entire team, a branch of my business that comes in and does all your funnel building, marketing, automation, ad spend, like all of that stuff. If you want all that. No, some people do, some people don't. But if they do want it, it's all available for them. And then I have another branch of my business that is my whole VA company. And so my VAs come in and help you with copywriting, social media management, like the whole thing. So it has become an entire ethos. It used to just be, I'm coaching you with your mindset or your inner belief systems and stuff, being that I have neuro-linguistic programming, positive intelligence, like all that in my background. But now it's a whole thing. So we help them create from concept all the way to launch.
Wow, that is just like so much more in depth than a lot of other people offer. Like, what
Yeah.
made you decide to go to offer that much?
I think it's because I felt very lonely, Ryan. Like I would start something, like say I had a coach that would, I don't know, teach me my pillars, let's say. And then after they taught me that, it was like, bye. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do with this information? You know, then I would have to hire someone else to help me with building out my academy, then hire someone else to help me with building my funnel, then hire someone else to help me with ads and hire someone. It was just too much. And I just felt burnt out. I was tired. I was, I didn't feel like I had anybody I could trust or somebody I can lean on. And it was starting to become very overwhelming. And I was scared, to be honest, because I had spent so much money on so many different people promising so many different things. And then I said, what if I made it reasonably priced, and help these people really get their footing, And then if they want, they don't have to, but if then they want, I do have this offering for them that can help them continue. Right. And that's what I did. And a lot of the women have already done that, like already started with me. We built out everything and are off with my team building out their entire, their entire funnel system and everything.
That's
So,
nice. I
yeah.
thought I'd seen you say too that you helped them get their first clients and everything too.
Well, it goes through, we have a whole automated system for them that we do a whole a video sales funnel and letter and blah, blah. And so we help them with all of that. My team helps them with everything.
Wow, that is so much more
Yeah.
in depth than a lot of other people and what they offer.
It's a lot of work too, but it's fun. I think because I came into this space really with heart more than about money. And I think when you come at something because God is calling you to it, as opposed to let me just try to rip somebody off, there's a
Yeah.
big difference, and I do come at it with these women end up becoming like really close friends. They don't want to leave me, right? They keep signing back up, they keep staying around, and it's because they know that I'm there for them 100%. 100% there for them. And so now in September is my next cohort. I just finished my last one, which was a year long. And now I'm starting again another one soon in end of August, beginning of September. But I think that one is going to be a 90-day like accelerated program. Let's just get your concept out. Let's see what you want to do. We're going to meet every week and you're going to get it done. That's it. Because when they take a year, Ryan. They take a full year.
They want to drag their feet, like they let fear play a little part in everything. Like,
Oh my
still
gosh,
hanging
yes.
on to the sides and the railings and everything.
Yeah. Exactly. And they heard me say 90 days. They're like, oh, I'm glad we did the 1 year. I'm glad we did the 1 year. And I'm like, yeah, because you guys took a freaking year. Like, let's go,
But that's probably a good problem to have, though, that your clients want to stay with you, though.
Oh yeah, it's a blessing. And they also know I won't leave them either.
Yeah.
I still have clients from like 2-3 years ago. In fact, I just had an email that just came through before we're getting on. So I got to check what it is, but it was a client and they always have like a question about something. Like, oh, I have a question about this thing that I ran into. Do you have any advice? Because I stay with them. I
Yeah.
don't just cut them off. Like I've had people, I've paid $15,000 for a coach. The day after my contract was up, I just asked her a question. I never heard back from her again.
Wow.
Day after. And I'm like, wow, I was with you a long time, paid you a lot of money. I thought we were friends, but I guess
Yeah.
not. I guess not.
Yeah.
Okay, Nina. All right. But I just, those lessons are so good because they made me realize that's not who I want to be. And so I don't do that to people.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy when you look at that and like, oh, well, God, you showed me who I need to
I
become.
don't want, yeah, what I don't want to do. Exactly. Like I think, and that's, I think with everything, right, Ryan? I mean, if you're somebody who's been hurt and abused and things like that, then if you give it to God, you realize that that's not the person you want to be to the next person.
Yeah.
You know, you have to change.
Yeah. Can you explain how healing from past trauma plays a role in building a successful business?
Yeah, I think that we have to heal from past trauma in order to be successful and happy. So let me make that caveat. You can be very successful without dealing with any of your inner stuff. Absolutely. There's so many jacked up people out there that are millionaires. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But happy. I don't know. I know I've spoken to many who have not been happy although they have $1 million businesses, So I guess it depends. I know that if you want to be happy, if that is something that is in your heart, to be happy, then you need to start dealing with what you don't want to deal with. And that's the thing, right? Like, who the heck wants to deal with inner crap? Nobody. Ain't nobody want to deal with that. But you have to, like I didn't want to deal with the fact that I was an abused child. I didn't want to deal with that. And I definitely didn't want to go to my ex-stepfather and tell him, look what you did to me. But I did, right? When I wrote my book, my book is called Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and how I overcame a hard-hitting life. And in that book, I talk about how God was calling me to go and talk to my stepfather, which was a very difficult thing to do because I hated that man, you know? And I hadn't seen him since I was like, I don't know, 10, and I'm like 52 now. So this happened maybe like 10 years ago. And I had to go and face him. And when I faced him, I got right to his face, nose to nose, forehead to forehead. And I said to him, you know what? I'm going to choose to forgive you. I don't want to. I want to punch you in your face. I said, but I'm going to choose to forgive you because God asked me to. It's the only reason why I'm here, you know? And he says, I know what I did. And as soon as he said that, and I said, I forgive you, like everything broke. All the stuff, the anger that I had, all of the revenge that I wanted to do, like all the things that I had inside of me just released. And I started crying. He wiped my tears. I gave him a hug. I walked away. I am done with that chapter, Ryan. It no longer controls my life, my decisions, nothing. Right?
Wow.
So those type of things, you have got to deal with that toxicity inside of you. You have got to deal with it, because when you do become uh, prosperous, wealthy, whatever the thing is that you're going after, right? Whatever that thing is, you want to be happy when you get there. You want to have joy when you get there. You want to be fulfilled when you get there. I mean, I've had rich people on my podcast say, I made it to the millions. And I was like, I still don't feel good. And that's because we always hit something that we think is going to help us. And then we realize it doesn't. And then we go to the next thing and it doesn't. You know what I mean? And then it's the next thing and it doesn't. I remember when I said, I'm going to hit 6 figures. I'm going to be, oh my God, I'm going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. I hit 6 figures and it was like, now what? Next? It didn't feel like anything. I thought that it was going to feel like something, but until you deal with your inner crap, it's just, you're not going to feel fulfilled, period.
Wow. Like that is you just threw a lot at us right there.
I know. I talk a lot. I'm a podcaster.
It's all right. I just love just your story is just like so amazing about like what God had you do. Like what inspired you to write your book?
I think it was all of that, all the pain. I had to write my book. My book was really written, I thought, for me, for being like a cathartic experience. I wanted to get through a lot of my pain. I'm one of those people that I like to face things and try to take it down, like I don't allow too many things to try to take me down. And so this was one of those things. God had been asking me to write a book for like over 15 years. I kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And then one day I just looked at my husband. I said, "It's time." He's like, "What?" I said, "I'm going to go write my book. I'm going to do it every day after work. You will not see me. I just want to let you know for hours at a time, I'm going to be downstairs writing my book, and I have to have it done within 10 months. And he's like, "Okay." I said, "Okay, love you very much, but I need you to be patient." He goes, "I got you." And sure enough, it took me 10 months. I wrote the book, cried a lot, cried a lot. There was a lot of things in there that I was repentant for that I've done, and a lot of things that I was freed from. And I realized something, Ryan, is you probably heard me say this before, but there's two types of shame. There's the type of shame that you should have to change your ways. So if I stole something from you, I should be ashamed of that so that I don't do it again. Right?
Yeah.
That is the type of shame that changes your heart. And then there's the type of shame that you take on that doesn't belong to you. So when my stepfather abused me, when my ex-husband or my ex-boyfriend tried to murder me and he abused me all the time, like that kind of shame that I carried from them, I realized one day that it didn't belong to me anymore, it belonged to them. So I released it and I gave it back to them. Here, you guys take it. I don't want that, you know? And when I gave it to God and started to write the book and started to release everything, and I cried tears over this book, and that book came out, Ryan. I remember when I was going to press publish, I was so scared because I knew that my mother wouldn't talk to me anymore. My family was going to probably disown me because it was the truth. And in our family, we're Latinos. In our family, you don't say nothing. Okay. Whatever
I
happens in the
know how
house
that is.
stays in the house.
Hey,
Exactly.
you bury everything down deep and
Yes.
hold it
You
all
don't
in.
say a
That's how we were
word.
taught. Yeah. Bury it
Yes.
all down deep and don't say a word. Like
Don't
I
say a
grew up like
freaking
that.
word. Heck yeah. I mean, it is such a toxic way to grow up,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah. And so I remember that day so clearly because I said, "Okay, Nina, you're gonna publish this book. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?" It took me like a day or two. And then I finally just went publish and I published it. And I didn't tell my mother I was writing the book, nor did I tell her it was published or anything because I didn't want her to ever read it. But then, of course, you know how people are, right? Somebody saw that I wrote it on Facebook and they gave her a book. And she read a couple of maybe a chapter or two and called me a liar and, this and that. She just cursed me out. She was so pissed off and she didn't want anything to do with me. And I was like, I knew that was going to happen because I mean, when I was abused, I told you I was being abused as a little girl, and you looked at me and told me, "Shut up and stop lying." So I know she couldn't face it. I knew it was going to be hard for her to face it, that she was that type of mother, that she did not help me, that she did not protect me from all of the severe beatings with blood coming out, all of the stuff. She didn't protect me. Right. And me and her are great now. By the way, I just want to let everyone know that I have forgiven her and she asked, she hugged me. She told me, "I'm sorry." I told her, "I'm sorry." And we both forgave each other. And it's been a beautiful relationship since, but it was hard. And that book, Ryan, that book I didn't even really promote it. It started to go into people's lives. It was in people's book clubs. It started to change women. Women started coming up to me in like coffee shops. I would be in a coffee shop and so I'd be like, "Excuse me, are you Nina Perez?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh my God, I just read your book. My stepfather did this to me and my brother did this to me." People just started like telling me all of their life stories. And that's where the coaching was birthed because the book came out, people's lives started transforming, and then they all wanted to like have me help them and work with them. And here we are today, many years later.
Wow. I mean, look what God used you
Look what
for.
God can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
He's
even
so
though that he brought healing to your family, like between you and your mom, I mean, that's
yes.
an amazing thing. How many journals have you authored and can you explain about them?
Yes. So I think I have like a simple journal right now on maybe I have two on Amazon that are very simple. It's about gratitude, intentions. And just for you to kind of like gear yourself up in the mornings. And then I just wrote one now that is actually just being released, and it is making God your CEO and putting him first. And so it's more aligned with like faith and business. And that one is really, really intentional. That's like it has a scripture that you have to think about. What does the scripture mean to you? Then you write about, what is God saying to you through the scripture. Then it goes through like all these different like prompts for you. And it takes about 15 to 20 minutes a day. But it's a way for you to start setting up God first instead of setting yourself up first. And I really love it. So I have about 2 to 3 out there right now. The one I'm talking about that's being released right now is all digital. It's not going to be like a hard copy.
So they can get all those on Amazon then.
Yeah, the digital one is not on Amazon yet because I just released it, but it will be.
Awesome.
And you can get that one on my shop. You can go to shop.ninaperez.com and you can get it there. Yeah.
What was the most challenging part when you were writing them?
Making sure that I honor God and not, kind of like sidestep him, like when you're writing something that is about God or faith, you want to make sure that you're not doing it because you think you're all that in a bag of chips. Right. So I had to make sure that I was in prayer about it. Like, does this prayer really aligned with what it is I want this woman to experience going through this journal? Is this something that God is going to be pleased with or not pleased with? Am I putting myself in here, or is this really about God? So it was that kind of a play. You had to kind of play around and make sure that you are aligning what your intentions are about God for real with God, not making yourself out to be something extraordinary. Like if I walk in a room and angels go, ah, no, that's not what I wanted, right? Because we are very prideful people. People
Yeah.
are full of pride, right? And so I always have to check myself before I wreck myself. You know what I mean? So that's how I try to anyway, confront writing, my book, my journals, things like that. Yeah.
Nice. So how were the spiritual attacks as you were writing these journals?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. So you believe in spiritual attacks then, huh?
Yes. Well, and
Yes.
I talked with many authors who have wrote like spiritual books, and
Yes.
they've talked about like, man, pray for me as I'm writing this book
Yes.
because it was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with.
It's so true. I mean, and I believe in spiritual attacks. That's why I ask, because most people don't ask that question
Yeah.
unless they believe in it. And the truth is yes, I mean, you get attacked. I got, somebody like went into my bank account and took out all my money. Like somebody knocked down all of my social medias, got into my website. Like it was a freaking nightmare, right? So I was trying to deal with that while trying to write the journal, while trying to be at peace. And it's been it's been fun. It's been fun. But I put God first anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You do what you want. Do what you want. So I've been homeless before. We've lost everything. We've lost our house, our cars. We've lost all things. And God still provided. He's a good God. He's a real God. I trust him. And so when the attacks come, I'm like, "Ooh, you're mad, huh? Oh, you mad? Oh, you mad? Okay." That's how I try to deal with it. And so I also do this thing where I do I just started this actually, I think about a week ago or so with my hubby, where we have a board in our bedroom. And on the top of the board, it says our need. And then we have a little scripture under it. And then under it, it says, thank you. So when God answers a prayer, we have like postcards. We stick them in this board. And every time God answers the prayer of our need, we drop it down to the thank you, so that we can see all the work that God is doing in our life. Right. And so when spiritual attacks come, I just start praying. I start praying over the board. I start praying over whatever I'm writing, whoever I'm coaching, whatever I'm doing. And I go, God, this is what I need. I need your wisdom, your strength, your knowledge. I need all these things. Right. And then as God gives me the things that I need, financial things, health things, whatever things, I then thank him for it. And that's how I overcome spiritual warfare, because at the end of the day, the devil already lost. He already lost. And so I'm not going to focus on him. There's no time to focus on him. I don't give him airtime. It's not like I sit there like, oh, the enemy. I ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Even if he is doing whatever he's doing, God gets the glory. Period.
And that is an interesting thing to do, is to have you have like your own little system made
Mhm.
out, so you can actually see all the work that God's doing in your life.
Yeah. I've talked about this before. Like this, I keep it here just as a reminder. So if you can see that, that's like a $5 bill that I made into 50,000, right? And when we were struggling pretty badly, I remember I was only making about 25,000 a year or something. This was in 2014. And I said, God, I can you give me double that? Can you make me give me 50,000? Can I get 50,000? And of course I didn't see that money. I was only making like 20 something thousand. So I took the $5 bill, I put a 0,000. I taped it on my board. And then I also taped all the things I'm grateful for. My husband, my kids, my pets, my house, my bed, everything, all the things, right? And I said, thank you so much for this 50,000, Lord. This year I know you're going to give me 50,000. I thank you so much for the 50,000 this year. Thank you, Father, for the 50. And as I was doing that, Ryan, to your point with the spiritual attack, my bank account was at negatives, like negatives, right? So I kept praying anyway, negatives. My money would come in from like the job that I had, and it would be wiped out because of all of the charges, the bank charges, right? So it was constantly negative. About 6 months in, I get an offer for 50,000 to work at a job, right? So I'm like, oh, this got to be from God, right, Ryan? It got to be from God, 50,000. So I go and get this job. I'm like, this is, I go to kind of like learn the layout of the job, the whole thing. And cause I'm a chef by trade, and I'm, looking at this kitchen and stuff. And I'm like, something's off. Like there was all these red flags. He wasn't a person of his word. He was kind of saying one thing, but doing another. I didn't like it. I was talking to one of the staff members. They were saying, well, as long as you don't want to get paid right away, because sometimes he can be a month before he pays you, like that kind of stuff. I was like, oh no, wait. So I said to God, am I reaching out for something that is not for me? Am I making this your blessing when it's not your blessing? And what I quickly realized is that the enemy had circumvented something in front of me that I thought was from God. And so the minute that I started to see, I said, God, you gave me like 50 red flags. If you give me one more red flag, I'm going to let it go. And sure enough, he gave me another red flag. And I said, okay, I'm letting it go. So I let it go. I told the guy, I'm not interested in the job. I'm sorry. I got to let it go. And so I did. Not even maybe a day, maybe I get a call from this other job that hadn't even started yet, but they heard about me throughout town because I'm known for my chef work and all the stuff that I was doing. And they offered me 55,000 with a $10,000 bonus at the end of the year. Right. And so I took that job. And not only did I make, you know, 65,000 that year, I ended up being six figures in no time. I stayed with that company for almost 8 years. I built their restaurant from the ground up. And I never even built a restaurant before, Ryan. Here's the thing. When they told me that that's what they wanted me to do, I took the job and then I prayed for wisdom. I said, Lord, this has to be from you because everything matches. There's no red flags. It's all like happening. I said, so I need your wisdom. I need you to grant me wisdom. I don't care about the money, but I do care about the wisdom. Give me wisdom that'll surpass what they're even expecting. And sure enough, I did, Ryan. I got that and then some, all the stuff that I ended up getting, all of the accolades and the write-ups in the papers and all that kind of stuff. Why? God and his wisdom, right? So I'll tell people that whoever's listening to us right now, do not be discouraged. You might not know something, but it doesn't mean you can't gain the knowledge. And if you trust God enough, lean into his understanding because your understanding is limited, right? And so since that day, I always ask God to grant me wisdom because with wisdom, I can gain all the rest of it. Right. So if I'm asking God for $1,000, he's giving it to me. I said, God, can I please have $1,000? I got to pay my rent. And honestly, Ryan, I will open up a freaking envelope and it'll be a check from somebody who said they heard from God and they wanted to give me the $1,000 because they heard God told me that. I'm like, what? Like those type of things have happened to me several times. Right. But I now ask God for wisdom. because that's what's going to get me to whatever it is I need. Right. So yeah, that's just a little caveat.
Wow. I love how you just touched on like the enemy sent something to block your
Yes.
blessing. Like how important is self-awareness and like
Yes.
discernment through all that?
Oh, well, think about it, right? If I didn't pause to realize, okay, hold on, there's a lot of red flags here. Have you been praying about this, Nina? Because that's what happens, Ryan. You get comfortable. This is what I'm telling you,
Yeah.
right? I was praying for 6 months straight, 6 months straight, 6 months straight. Then this offer came and I thanked God for it, but I didn't keep praying. I got complacent. Okay. But the red flags were big. I mean, big red flags. And it wasn't until I stopped and said, and paused myself and said, hold on, be self aware here, Neen. What's happening? You're not feeling good about this. Your Holy Spirit is telling you something and you're ignoring it because you think this is what you're supposed to do. Don't ignore the Holy Spirit. Don't ignore these intuitions. Stop, pause. And that's what I did. And when I paused and just prayed and prayed and prayed, God made it so clear, Ryan. I was like, oh, okay, let it go. It was scary to let it go, though, right? Because somebody's
Yeah.
offering you the money you just been praying for, right? But I let it go. And as soon as I let it go, my blessing came. So you have to be self-aware. You have to have discernment. And sometimes I'm not saying that God is going to make everything easy either. I don't want people to get that misconception that everything has to be easy. That's not the truth. But you will know, like something will tell you, like, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I don't know why I'm doing this, you know? Same thing with my first marriage. I mean, when my ex-husband asked me to marry him, immediately I knew inside I wasn't supposed to marry him. He was not the one, but I did anyway. I was like, "Oh, okay. We'll get married." And the marriage was shambles. It was just a mess. And it was a mess because I didn't listen. I didn't listen to my intuition. I didn't listen to God. I just did what I wanted to do, right? And I've learned very quickly that whatever Nina wants to do it ain't gonna come out right. So I better lean on God or I'm in trouble. So you're right. Discernment and self-awareness and having good people around you helps too, Ryan. Having like people who are in your faith, I believe, like if somebody's in your faith, they can at least guide you in that way. Somebody that you trust, somebody who is there for you and not against you, because community is important. So I think having people around you is important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved how you just touched on that. If when Nina does what she wants, it's usually not
It's
a
a
good day.
mess.
Yeah,
Ryan, it's a
I wish
hot
more
mess.
of us like understood that part. Like, hey, when we just do what we know we're not probably supposed to do,
Hmm.
and there's that the pit of our stomach and our hearts telling us no, 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 no,
Yeah, and then we
but
do
we
it
do it
anyway.
anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
such stupidity. And then we're
yeah,
like, why is this happening? And God is like, I try to like warn you. I sent you like all the signs. Like, what do you want?
yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
funny.
I can say that I've made that mistake plenty of times
I'm
too.
sure we all do. It's so ridiculous. And then we're kicking ourselves in the butt because things aren't going right. Duh. Duh.
You host the podcast No Sugar Added. What led
Mhm.
you to start podcasting?
So Straight Talk No Sugar Added started actually when the book started. And it was because I feel like I have a lot of wisdom, right? And when I speak to women, men, it doesn't matter. They'll always say, "Dang, Nina, you have a lot of freaking wisdom. Like, I didn't look at it that way or whatever have you." And I started to start the podcast. It was more biblically based. It was more about faith and my journey with faith and what I felt God was telling me through scriptures. That's what it started with. And I it I had maybe one listener, it's probably my husband, who knows, right? But now, I'm 5 years in, right? I have over 5, close to 600 episodes. And, it became a conversation piece about 2021, where I wanted to have conversations like this, Ryan, like what me and you are doing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to explore people's lives, and I realized that there's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of good people trying to do good things, and I wanted to highlight them. And that's how the podcast started to kind of rebrand and change a little bit. And I love I love podcasting. It's one of the most fun things I've ever done. It's so amazing. I love it. I get to meet people like you. I get to meet people in somewhere else in the country or around the world, and we get to talk real life, like real freaking people, you know? And somebody who's listening is going to get something out of it. So I got about 170,000 listens on YouTube. I think I have over, I don't know, well over 200,000 downloads on podcast. And I love it. I love what I do. And people are always emailing me, DMing me about, oh, I heard this episode. Holy crap, that was amazing. You know, that kind of stuff. Because I like when you come on, you'll see my flow is very, very like this. It's very
Yeah.
much organic. And it's very much about who is Ryan? What did Ryan go through? How did he overcome it? And what does he do today to transform the world? And that's what the podcast is about.
Yeah, I love it. That's kind of one of the main reason why I started doing this was kind of to show people that everybody faces some sort of adversity in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody goes through something. Like, don't let your limiting beliefs hold you back.
I love it, right? Because it's through the fire, and it's literally forging you, right? It's
Yeah.
forging you into something better.
Like,
I love the name of your podcast.
That's why, like, that's how I got the name, was because God led me through the fire.
Oh, I'm sure
Like,
he did.
nobody understood that. It's like he led me through the fire, and I didn't want to go, but he made me go through it.
He sure did.
You
And
know?
that's how he goes. It's not usually your decision.
No. Like, there was a lot of holding myself back. Was like, no, I don't want to go through. But he's like, you're going to go through it, or it's like sink or swim, buddy.
Yeah.
You know,
it just makes you better, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I can definitely say that I'm a much better person because I had to go through it.
Yes, I believe that. And you know, the thing is that we need to stop asking for comfort, right? Let's just stop asking for comfort and let's start asking for capacity. Let's just start asking God to give us the capacity to sustain what it is He's trying to give us, teach us, put us through, you know? But most of us just want to be, I know I do. I want to be comfortable. Shoot.
Me too at times.
You know what I'm saying? You think I want to go downstairs right now, eat some damn bonbons and chill? I can't, you know, I have to you have to show up for you. You have to show up for you. And what does that mean? You are created in the image of God. If you are a child of God, that means God has called you into his kingdom. You have got to show up for God, and you have got to show up for you. And that means stepping up every freaking day, even when you don't freaking want to. Period. Like, stop being a baby about it. Show up. You know, I know for me, sometimes I don't want to. I want to go under my covers and cover myself and just be like, I don't want to do shit today. Right. But guess what? If I don't do shit, shit don't get done. So I got to get up. Right. Yeah. Life is good.
That is awesome. Like, I love how you touched on a lot of that stuff to give me the capacity to handle it. I mean, like, so much of us just do seek comfort instead of just wanting to go through it.
Yes, exactly. Your story is for somebody else. Like, package your transformation. And for those of you who are listening, like, what do? I don't even know what to do. I'm not worth anything. I don't know anything. Blah, blah, blah. Shut that noise. Okay. Package your transformation into a message where you can help somebody else, right? Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for ready. Just go. Just do it. Go. Do one thing. I don't care what it is. Turn on your video camera. Write a blog. Send an email. I don't give a shit. Do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, step out of you for a second. Because when we go through the fire, right? When you go through the fire, when you go through all the stuff, like, help somebody. Somebody else is going through fire right now. They need you. And you don't have to be 20 chapters ahead. You only need to be one chapter ahead. One chapter ahead. I always think about that story, and I've shared it before. I don't know if you've heard it, but about that young man who went into a university. There wasn't an instructor there, so he took over the role of the instructor to the class. Nobody knew he was a student. He acted like a professional. He acted like a professor. So he was there teaching this class that wasn't supposed to be taught because there was no professor. He taught them. And after about, I think it was like a couple of weeks or a month, they found out that he was doing this, and they called him in. He got suspended, the whole thing. And they said to him, wait, we have to know, how is it that the students were learning so well? And how is it that they were passing the exams and stuff? What the hell? How did you do that? He said, oh, I read a chapter ahead. So I was teaching them from the chapter that they were at, but I was reading ahead one chapter. He was teaching them a chapter ahead, Ryan. Okay.
Wow.
That's just to show you, stop overthinking that you need to be all good, that you need to look all polished, that you need to have everything done. That's not true. Those are lies from the pit of hell. That is not what you need. Even Gideon, when he was like afraid and did not want to do anything, God said, "Look, my valor, my champion, my whatever." He's like, "Who are you talking to? You ain't talking to me." You know, you ain't talking to me. That's what Gideon said because he didn't believe in himself. And all God was saying is, I believe in you. I believe in you. You're going to be a mighty man of valor. And Gideon's like, but how is that when I'm hiding right now in my basement because I'm afraid to go outside? Right? So I'm going to tell all of you who are listening, stop being afraid. God sees you. Maybe nobody else sees you right now, but God sees you. Okay? So step out anyway, even if it's just a little. Go volunteer somewhere if you have to, if that's going to break the ice for you. Right? But get out of your own way and go help someone do something. I don't care what it is. Help someone do something.
Yeah, that is great advice right there. I think what helped bring me out of a lot of my stuff was having to serve others as my whole life was falling apart around
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Having
it
to show
does.
up for somebody else.
Because you're not going to be hyper focused on you, right? Not you're busy focusing on someone else. Like we do a lot better. I mean, for me anyway, I do a lot better giving advice to others than I do taking it myself.
Yeah.
You know, I do a lot better, stepping out for others, sacrificing for others than I do for myself. It's just the truth. And I think we're built that way on purpose. I think God wants us to be that way because we're supposed to be serving one another for real. Right. And so I think that's why God makes it easier. Like we're maybe hard on ourselves, critical of ourselves. We beat ourselves up, but we won't do that to a good friend. We won't do that to a nice neighbor. We won't do that to a spouse or a child, not as much as we beat up ourselves, you know? And so I think that if you can just get out of your way, I love that you said that, Ryan, that God has made you go serve others to get you through your stuff. It's exactly what we're supposed to do. It's exactly right.
Man, like you just touched on that. I thought I was the only one that couldn't step out and make the sacrifices for myself, that it's harder for me to sacrifice for myself than for me to
Mhm.
sacrifice for somebody else's dream.
Oh my God, isn't that true? I wish that we could do that for ourselves as much as we can do that for others. But I think that's why we need each other, though, right? Because I need somebody else to help me with that, right? And that way I can help somebody else with that. And that way we're never alone because I call isolation the devil's playground, right? So when you are alone, that's when the devil can come and play around with you. He plays with your head, plays with your mind, plays with your emotions. And emotions are chaos anyway, because you could be happy one minute and sad the next, angry one minute and joyful. I mean, your emotions are everywhere. So stop worrying about your emotions. Just do it anyway. If you're fearful, that's another thing that comes and goes. It's not going to stay forever. It's going to go.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So just do it. Do it
you
afraid.
you can't trust your emotions anyways, because I figured out that the demons have control of your emotions and can control you that way.
Yeah. Well, they can control your circumstances that control your emotions,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I feel like I remember I had this revelation a couple weeks ago, which floored me. I was crying for like days over it because God showed me that I was asking God to show me where these root causes are for me, where I, struggle with certain things, especially like my health, right? Like sugar and stuff like that. Like that's my drug of choice, right? Or it was anyway. I've let it go. But God showed me like when I was a child and when my stepfather molested me, I went into the kitchen. I was so angry and upset because nobody was helping me that I was taking spoonfuls of sugar and eating it under the table, right? And I forgot about that. Totally forgot about that. And then God showed it to me. And then God showed me the enemy laughing at me in the kitchen. Right. I remember the wall color was yellow. I remember the floors. I remember the chair. I remember everything. It was like I was a third person looking at it. And as I'm sitting there looking, I see the enemy laughing. And the enemy goes, I groomed you to destroy yourself. I'm like, oh, like the revelation that came. Holy crap. So to your point, yeah, the enemy is going to be there, like you said, to manipulate your emotions, because he's been around circumstances and situations and in this world so long that he already knows how to push your buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How important has personal development and upgrading your mindset been for you on your journey?
It's been right under spiritual development. So my spiritual development and my personal development are like this, like real close to each other, right? Because I need to have Christ in my life. I have to have God in my life. It just has to be. I am not going to move him from that place in the throne where he belongs, right? And then I have to take care of my personal development within knowing that, so that I can show up the way God wants me to show up. If I don't start taking care of myself, so if you don't start taking care of your own personal development, then somebody else will take care of it for you. Okay. So if you don't take care of it, somebody's going to tell you who you are, what you feel, what you're worth, what you can and cannot do. Somebody else will control that entire narrative. So either you do it or have somebody else do it. That's your decision.
Wow. Great advice right there. What is one book you'd recommend on personal development or mindset?
That's a good question. I like a lot of books. So there's a few. So I can think of two right now. One is for emotions, right? It's called The Body Keeps the Score. So if you are somebody who's had trauma or has had things that happen in your life that have caused you to kind of be stuck or not take care of yourself or don't know how to get out of your own head type of thing, The Body Keeps the Score is a beautiful book. You need to pick that up for real, especially if you're somebody who has had trauma, right? The second one is Wired for Wealth. Wired for Wealth by Dr. Alok Trivedi. Is a personal development. It's a neuroscience book on how to rewire your mind for wealth. And so how to take all of the negative things that you think are negative in your life and flip those into positives so that your mind can start rewiring itself from the programs that we've had. So those two books are on the top of my head right now, but there's many. Yeah.
Nice. How can people get a hold of you?
You can find me anywhere on the planet at Nina Perez, which is Neena Perez, or Straight Talk No Sugar Added, because I'm literally on all the platforms.
Yeah, awesome. Have we missed anything that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot, but one thing I do want to leave your audience with is that you are never meant to stay stuck in the fire. Okay, that's why it's called Through the Fire, right? You
Yep.
were never meant to stay stuck in the fire. The fire came in your life or is in your life right now to burn things off that you no longer need. Okay. So in James, it says, consider it pure joy whenever you face trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. That's James 1, verse 2 and 3. Okay. So consider it pure joy whenever you face trials. Fires are only to burn things off. Just like gold, it has to go through really deep fire in order for all the impurities to come up so you can skim that off and have pure gold. So guys, don't worry about it. You are not stuck. You are just going through. Keep going.
And trust me when I say this too, is when you usually leave one fire, you're getting ready to walk into another
Walk into
one.
another one. Equilibrium. We talked about homeostasis.
Yep.
Exactly right.
You get a little bit of downtime, but you're getting led to another one eventually.
Exactly. That's why life is exciting. That's why
Yeah.
life is exciting. Yeah.
Exactly. So final question. What is one piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with about overcoming adversity?
Pause, take notice of whatever the thing is that is causing you fear, because that's what adversity usually does. It'll cause you this fear and you feel like you have this fear-based story. So pause, notice it, pivot from that. So start reframing the situation for the truth. Don't look at the lie, because fear is false evidence appearing real. And I say fear is to face and eliminate all restrictions. Okay. So you're going to pause, you're going to pivot, and then you're going to prosper. So that means you're going to take bold steps and start taking aligned action to where you want to go. So pause, pivot, and prosper.
Great advice. Well, Nina, I cannot thank you enough for coming on here. This
Thank
was
you
an
for having me.
amazing conversation. You made me dig a little deep and just had me thinking so much on this.
Well, wait till you get on my podcast.
Hey, I'm very excited to come on now because I think we
Thank
could have
you.
another amazing
Oh, yeah.
conversation about
Oh,
faith
yeah.
and what God can do in someone's life.
I cannot wait. Thank you for having me, Ryan. You're a great host. I appreciate it.
Hey, it was an amazing conversation, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here today and
Thank
sharing your
you.
wisdom. You have
Thank
an
you. And
amazing story.
I appreciate that. And thank you, listeners, very much. I make sure that you like, share, subscribe, Ryan, and all that he does. Leave him a review, guys. Don't just be listening. Leave him a review. It's very important. It's important to us podcasters that you show up. So make sure that you guys help Ryan really grow this, because walking through the fire is something we all have to do. So thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you. Well, guys, that's going to be all the time we have here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is go through the fire.